Alright, going to go over here how to make a 3D orbital path with a planet rotating around that path, as if you were standing from the Earth and watching Venus rotate around the Sun, for example. It would look 3D, you wouldn't see it when it went behind the Sun. Anyway, we're not going to make a Sun, we're just going to make the 3D rotating path. We're going to do it in ActionScript 3.0. And just to warn you, this is a generic way to do this. I just figured this out playing around today. I'm sure there's a better way. In fact, I even found a website with some detailed information on it. Let me just go to that real fast. I got it up. Might as well show you. Okay, Flash explained how to make a planet animation in Flash with a circular motion guide. And this is kind of a, it's not a 3D look like I'm trying to go for, but it gives an example of how to use a circular motion guide, which I'm currently unfamiliar with. But it's just a lot of information, and I don't really feel like reading right now, so I figured I'd post this video of the way I figured out to do it, and maybe get some video responses from you guys that know a little bit better, a little more about this. So I'm just going to show you what I figured out. So starting, I'm going to use the oval tool to make my little planet here, and that looks fine for what I'm going to go for. I'm going to just delete that stroke. I don't need the stroke. I'm going to start it right here. I'm going to convert it to a symbol, planet, we'll call it. Perfect. And right click it, create a motion tween. First thing I'm going to do is on frame 30, I'm just going to drag it across for that motion tween. And there's our motion path right there. This is what we're going to work with. So to start, what I'm going to do is we'll just watch this thing going across. That's what we're doing right now. But we need some curvature for that orbital path, since orbital paths curve. So with my arrow tool, I'm just going to pull this down to be the closest side of the orbital path to us. So I'm going to go to the middle, about the middle-ish area right there, and highlight this animation, go to Motion Editor, down to the scale section. I'm going to make this bigger right here. So from point A, it'll start normal size, and it's bigger when it's closest to us. You know, theoretically, hypothetically closest to us. And it should get smaller as it comes back to here. So I'm going to go back to timeline, and there's probably quicker ways to do this, just for the sake of my example here and my lack of knowledge. I'll just do what comes to mind first. So Motion Editor, I'm going to go back here, scale it back down to 100%, like so. And I'm going to Command Enter to see what we've got so far. So that's the first half of our orbital path, looking just like that. Like I said, it's kind of generic, but I'm just going over how I saw how to do this. And we can tweak it and make it look good, but there's probably a better way to do it. So phase 2 is going back to the timeline, right click, and I'm going to copy these, and I'm going to go over to frame 31 and just paste those frames. I'm going to click in that animation and reverse the frames, reverse these keyframes, so it's doing the opposite thing. And next I'm going to highlight this motion path and go to Modify, Transform, Flip Vertical. Alright, so we've got the opposite thing going on, but it doesn't connect perfectly to our first path. So I'm going to go back to my first path and go over to View, bring up my rulers, and I'm going to bring a guide down to that starting point for the first path. Go over to the second path, highlight that, hold Shift as I move it up to keep it aligned, and now we'll hit Command Enter. See what we've got going on. The problem is this looks like it's coming at us twice. We want to shrink it as it goes around that back part of the orbital path, and that would look a lot better. So going over to frame 46ish here, Motion Editor, right at my scale, perfect. I'm going to shrink that under 100%, about 50-ish, looks fine. Okay, Command Enter, and there's our orbital path. But it stops just a little bit on the right and the left. That's because those frames are overlapping, because we just duplicated and then stacked it right on top of that first animation. So what I'm going to do to fix that is take this second part, of the orbital path, and I'm going to move it to the right like so and move it up just a little bit so it doesn't overlap anymore. So if I drag this back to the first animation, we see it just kind of continues on that second animation instead of stopping on that spot. Same thing when we get to the end. So I'm going to go Command Enter again, and now it flows a little bit better. Still isn't a perfect circle. Like I said, you can tweak that more, but there's probably a better way to do this, like on that website I just went to. And if you have any ideas of videos you want to share, please post them or recommend comments or other options to do this to make it look more realistic. So that's my beginning stages of an orbital path, what I figured out so far. So there we are.